Welcome to another 21 Hats Dashboard. I'm here with Victor Wong, who is founder and CEO of Right to Start, an advocacy group that works to expand entrepreneurial opportunity. Welcome back, Victor.
Thank you, Lauren. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Always a pleasure to have you. Victor, this timing is great. You just attended a big, important conference where you had a big, important announcement to make. Tell us about it.
It was certainly a big and important conference. It was the Global Entrepreneurship Congress just concluded this week in Indianapolis. It is the largest gathering of people who support entrepreneurship all across the world from, I think over 180 countries were there, thousands of people from all the continents of the world. And it was amazing. This is actually where you get to see what's happening, how people are supporting entrepreneurs. We had ministers of the economy. You had people leading entrepreneurship in multiple states across the United States. You had people running organizations from universities, community colleges, schools, governments. It really was just a grand gathering of all the people who believe in the importance of entrepreneurship.
And what was your big announcement?
We just announced a national campaign in honor of America's 250th startup birthday, which is 2026. So it's the startup birthday because America was the most courageous startup company idea in the world at the time, and still can be. And so we call this national campaign America the Entrepreneurial, and it's a campaign to renew our nation's entrepreneurial promise. It calls us to revive the original spirit of the country, the idea that anyone should be able to shape their own future and build something better for America. This is a country that's been built by the builders, dreamers, starters, risk takers from all walks of life. And there is this sense today in the country that things are holding us back, whether it's the barriers in entrepreneurship, outdated policies, or a lack of civic support, and that we should be able to do better, that we have to be able to allow entrepreneurs to help build a better America. Entrepreneurs are the ones that are building the future, and we have to reignite that entrepreneurial spirit across the nation. So with this national campaign, we're going to open it up. So any individual or organization that wants to be able to participate in America's 250th startup birthday has a way to do so. And it's not just, our leaders who are having parades and stuff, which are going to be great. But we ourselves are going to really make this a celebration of the people, by the people, and for the people.
How so? Tell me more about how the average person will connect with this.
Well, we're going to have a number of different ways for people to get involved. If they want to host, a birthday party for America in their living room, they can do that, or their neighborhood. If teachers want to be able to share handouts in their classroom about the entrepreneurial spirit and its importance to America, we'll have those. If college students want to start college chapters and clubs, we can do that. If people want to start their own clubs, or if they run an organization that wants to be able to host something related to America's 250 and the entrepreneurial promise of America, we'll have a pathway to do that. We're going to build a network of statewide coalitions all across the country in 50 states as part of this effort. And so just if people go and sign up on the website, it's at americatheentrepreneurial.org. Or if you can't find that immediately, go to righttostart.org and it'll lead you over to America the Entrepreneurial. There's going to be a way for everybody to join, and we encourage them to do so.
Do you have other organizations that are going to be working with you on this?
Yeah, tons of them have already signed up. We've got the very first signer up was the organization that runs the Global Entrepreneurship Congress, which is the Global Entrepreneurship Network. They've already agreed with us on making their annual Global Entrepreneurship Week events, which are in November every year, tied to America the Entrepreneurial. We've also got a number of organizations that have signed up. We've also got a National Advisory Council that we put together around this. And just the very inaugural council includes some of the biggest names in entrepreneurship in America, from Steve Case, the founder of AOL and now a venture capitalist, the founders of several of the prominent startup companies in America, from Dermalogica and Bonobos and Duo Security, to the heads of major foundations like the head of the Kauffman Foundation. We have ex-governors, Governor Asa Hutchinson, Governor Dirk Kempthorne, Brad Feld, the venture capitalist and entrepreneur involved. We've got a number of leaders, Brad Smith, the president of Marshall University and the former CEO of Intuit. Andrew Yang is involved, the politician and citizen advocate, and others. It's really a great network of some leading American civic and political and business leaders, and They're all that passionately believe in this. And it goes all the way from the left of the spectrum to the right of the spectrum. It's a heavily nonpartisan or transpartisan effort to pull Americans together.
Is it primarily about reminding us of our entrepreneurial roots, or are you also advocating for changes to reignite that entrepreneurial passion?
It's all the above. It's about lifting up our consciousness. It's our ability to tell the rest of America entrepreneurship matters, to engage in that civic discussion, to bring entrepreneurship front and center in the American debate. And we strive for three key policy priorities. One is to create a level playing field. So that could include streamlining regulations, reforming tax and procurement policies, improving access to capital, spreading entrepreneurial knowledge, the second one, which includes expanding education, skills, tools, and information to help Americans start and grow businesses. And third, support entrepreneurial households. So the challenges that hit founders especially hard, like healthcare, childcare, home buying issues, income volatility. How do we make it easier for households everywhere to be able to do that? So there's both civic awareness and activism, but also trying to drive the change that makes it easier for people to start and build businesses.
You recently wrote in your column for Inc. magazine about an effort to improve the delivery of capital to new businesses. Is that part of this initiative as well?
Yes. One of the things that we're really looking for is around expanding capital access. As many entrepreneurs know, the capital system doesn't make it easy. It helps. We've got a tremendous venture capital industry, but that venture capital really goes to less than 1% of the businesses, the ones that are truly scaling up and growing ridiculously fast, which is great. It's the envy of the world in many ways. And then banking only addresses something like 16, 17% of the companies out there, because banks require, they like years of financial statements. They need companies that have been in business for a long time. And they also look for a collateral.
They want you to put your home and your kids, anything else you own up as collateral, and then you can borrow money, no problem, right?
Yeah, it's mortgage your house, mortgage your future, mortgage your business assets. But there's not everyone can do that. And so that leaves out over 80% of the people starting businesses that are in the middle, that don't fit either banking or venture capital. And so what I called for, I recently wrote an Inc. column about this, is to create a network of entrepreneurial development banks. The same way that development banks of the 20th century, like the World Bank and the Inter-American Development Bank, et cetera, they built the infrastructure of the 20th century, like electrical infrastructure, water lines, even financial markets. Those were the infrastructure requirements of the 20th century. But the infrastructure of the 21st century are entrepreneurial capabilities. It's our entrepreneurial capacity. And so we need a new generation of development banks that actually does that. And so I wrote a column about how we can create entrepreneurial development banks to actually build the financial infrastructure to build entrepreneurial ecosystems today. And so I go through a number of different ideas, from being able to look at alternative types of investment funds, to being able to create secondary markets in micro lending, to creating evergreen nonprofit organizational investment models, to being able to jumpstart new fund formation in different markets all across the country. And so there's so much we could do around entrepreneurial capacity development, and there's models we can look to all across the world.
Do you see any cause for optimism that you can light that fire and get people interested and actually make some changes?
I feel like we can. I think the country's at a moment. I think one of the things I found, I've taken 3 road trips across the country in the last 3 years.
We've talked about them. I'm very jealous.
Yeah. So I've been out there, and I'll tell you, this country is hungry at the grassroots. They want ideas that re-energize us from the bottom up. Everything great in American history always happened from the bottom up. And people are looking for ideas. They're looking for activism. They're looking for ways that they make a difference. And what we're told about who we are at the national level is not actually what I found us to be the case at the local level. At the local level, this country is still very vibrant. Anywhere you go, there is entrepreneurial energy that's happening. And so, like in this Inc. column, I actually point to a number of examples of people that are doing exactly the things I think we should be doing more of, from developing alternative capital models like revenue-based financing in places like Atlanta with Collab Capital, in Kansas City with Novel Growth Capital, in San Diego with Founders First Capital. They're all creating alternative models that are neither venture capital nor banking, and they're doing it in communities that are actually where the entrepreneurs are and where they're trying to build what they're building. So I just found this energy everywhere, and I've talked about some of these ideas of how do we re-energize the entrepreneurial spirit, and can we use the 250th birthday of America to do that? And the response has been extraordinary. People are hungry for it. They want to be able to participate. And we took a poll in the country, and we asked Americans, this was a bipartisan poll by two of the top pollsters in the country, one on the left and one on the right. And we asked Americans, is it important to the future of the country that everyone has a chance to be able to start and build a business? 94% of Americans said it was. It's almost unanimous. Entrepreneurship, access to the entrepreneurial dream is uniquely and bipartisan and American thing. It's deep in our DNA. It's core to who we are. And it's one of these things, it's just waiting to be expressed. It's on the tip of our tongues, waiting to come out.
Could you maybe tell us a little bit more about one of those alternative, lenders or funds supplying equity capital? I'm not sure exactly how they work, but is it at the experimental stage, or is it actually working? Can you tell us more?
Oh, sure. It's definitely working. There's, if you look at what banking is, it's where you get a loan and you make a set of fixed payments over time on paying it back. Venture capital, you get a piece of equity and you hope the company takes off and, eventually sells or goes public for lots of money. But not all businesses are like that. Most businesses, in fact, are not like that. Most businesses, in fact, have, especially in their early years, they don't know what revenue is going to look like. And so a lot of, there's been a movement of new types of investors that will do, they'll invest in the company and will get paid back as a percentage of revenues. For instance, Novel Growth Partners in Kansas City and Founders First in San Diego, they'll give a loan to a company, and instead of saying you need to make fixed payments, they'll say, pay us back as a percentage of your revenues. If you make more money that month, you pay us more. If you make less money that month, you pay us less. And at some point, you pay it all back, and it caps out. So it's not a perpetual royalty. You pay up to a certain amount of the original investment or loan or whatever we gave you, and then we'll be able to take that back. And so that kind of model has been extremely successful because it allows the flexibility that meets entrepreneurs where they are, where if they're more successful, they can pay back more. If they're less successful, they don't have to pay back as much. What's interesting is how regulators often they get confused by that because they get scared. They're thinking, how can you take so much money from someone this month and not the next month? And so a lot of state regulations get in the way of that and have caused problems in that because they're so used to the old model, which is fixed payment plan. And it just shows that we've got a civic and policy system that's kind of last century. And we've got innovators and entrepreneurs and innovative investors that are trying to do things differently, and they run into these types of roadblocks.
For someone who's listening to this and whose ears just perked up, are these alternative lenders, are they operating around the country, or are they constrained geographically to their own location? And are they looking for specific types of businesses, or will they consider anything?
Novel Growth Partners has a platform, and anyone in the country can go on there and apply, and they get responses. They'll get your response like really fast, within minutes. Because they have a lot of automated mechanisms to crunch the numbers. Founders First operates in a network of cities across the country. I don't remember all the cities offhand, but it's spread all over the country, even though they're based in San Diego. And but a lot of entrepreneurs may already be familiar with some of these working capital lines based on revenue. PayPal, as one example, that actually does a working capital line where they loan entrepreneurs money based on their revenues, and they get paid back over as a percentage of revenues until they pay it back to a certain point. And so bigger platforms like PayPal do it, but also more innovative, nimble platforms like Novel and Founders First do it as well. So there's a mix of different providers doing these types of things. I know that PayPal, they've already been able to use that type of model, their working capital model, and it's already helped invest, I think, over $30 billion into entrepreneurs in America that way.
There is also another kind of alternative lender, which has become somewhat infamous for charging outrageous interest rates, for not being fully upfront about annual percentage rates. Is there a bright line between the companies you're describing and the bad actors I'm referring to?
There are. Well, a lot of it has to do with transparency. How much do you disclose up front about the terms? And there are clearly terms. It's a bit of the Wild West right now in the financial tech world. on how businesses get capital. And so there are companies that will loan money to entrepreneurs, and deep in the fine print will be excruciatingly painful payoff terms or trigger mechanisms that cause you to lose your company upon defaults. And those are terrible. I think you want to stick with the well-known trusted actors that are out there that are able to ascribe to a set of principles. There are a number of different efforts to try to create transparency around that. The Small Business Borrowers Bill of Rights is one such effort to create transparency around lending. But you can be a great provider of capital, and there's a lot of different ways to do that. And you just got to be careful out there, because unlike consumer finance, where there's lots of protections that are built into the law, in business finance, it's pretty Wild West. There's a lot that's going on, and so one has to be careful.
I think, with the bad actors, oftentimes they are preying on companies that are desperate, that need a quick infusion of cash because something has gone wrong, and they're willing to accept terms that they probably know they shouldn't. I think you're describing lenders who are trying to help a growing business that is maybe figuring out what's going to work, but not in desperate shape.
Well, in the early years, if you're running a little retail business, you don't know where it's going to come from. If even a software business, when you're, 1 month you could be doing well, and next month you could be doing badly. There's just so much fluctuation in the business, especially in the early years when you're trying to learn maybe even what the life cycle of your revenue model looks like. So what we need is right now the capital markets are the equivalent of like an ice cream store with two flavors. It's like you get your venture capital and your banking, but entrepreneurs come in so many different sizes and shapes that you really need you need all the different flavors of ice cream to fit all the different types of children you have coming in the store. And so we can't, two flavors of ice cream are not enough. That should be our rally line.
Victor, I always learn new stuff talking to you. I always get energized talking to you. I appreciate your sharing this with us. Tell us again, if somebody's interested in learning more about the 250th anniversary campaign, where should they go?
AmericaTheEntrepreneurial.org. And you can also look at RightToStart.org. Right to Start is leading the campaign, and you can sign up to either or both. And we'd love to have you there. And as the year goes on, we're going to roll out more and more and give you more and more ways to get active. Right now, just sign up, and we're getting ready to push out a campaign soon that will help people in telling their entrepreneurial stories. So that's going to be coming out soon as well.
Victor Wong is founder and CEO of Right to Start. Thanks for taking the time, Victor.
Thank you, Lauren. You do amazing work at 21 Hats. I'm so proud of watching you go, and thank you for all the great work you do on behalf of entrepreneurs.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. Have a great week, everybody.